Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Tonight, on First at 9 this Friday, the 17th of January 2025. Tariff revision. Public Utilities Commission announces first electricity tariff revision for the year. Tariffs to be reduced by 20% with effect from midnight tonight. Chinese aid. President Anura Dissanayake concludes state visit to China, securing 500 million yuan to bolster economic and technical cooperation. Unification talks. SJB Executive Committee greenlights discussions for Samagi Jana Balawegaya to reunite with the United National Party. Tourism development. Over 110,000 tourists visit Sri Lanka during the first 2 weeks of 2025. Tourism Development Authority confident of attracting 3 million visitors by the end of the year.
Chilo Dairy, Sri Lankawama Kiren Perata. Obe Vishwasi Dinu Sensorain, then Lagamati Pharmacy in Labagata Hacker.
Kanta Parisankaragato?
Happy Parisan!
Asian Paints Causeway Aquasave Vesat Matui Gadarat Disney.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9 on Sri Lanka's most trusted news source, Derana. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and from around the world. In your top story tonight, President Anura Dissanayake concluded his 4-day official state visit to China today. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that the Sri Lankan delegation in China has inked a memorandum of understanding facilitating a 500 million yuan grant from the Chinese government for economic and technical cooperation. During his last day in China, President Dissanayake met with the Sichuan Province Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party. On the fourth and final day of his state visit to China, President Anura Dissanayake called on the Sichuan Province Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, Wang Xiaowei. Discussions centered on bolstering economic, trade, cultural and tourism-related ties between Sri Lanka and China's economically diverse Sichuan province. President Dissanayake requested the province secretary to share Sichuan province's achievements in areas such as the energy sector with Sri Lanka. The Sri Lankan president further noted that the island nation is at a stage suitable for investment opportunities. He attributed this readiness to Sri Lanka's transparent governance and economic stability. During the meeting, President Anura Dissanayake asserted that Sri Lanka, with excellent hospitality, is an ideal destination for Chinese tourists and called on the people of Sichuan province to visit the Paradise Island. President Anura Dissanayake also visited several places in Chengdu, the capital of Sichuan province. These included Jianqi, a model village focused on poverty alleviation, and the Chengdu National Agricultural and Science Center. Issuing a statement pertaining to the conclusion of President Disanayake's 4-day state visit to China, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs noted that 15 memoranda of understanding were exchanged by the two nations. The ministry further asserted that the memoranda include a 500 million yuan grant from the Chinese government on economic and technical cooperation. President Anura Dissanayake and the Sri Lankan delegation are scheduled to arrive in Colombo tonight. And with that, let's take a look at opinions expressed by politicians on the president's visit to China.
දා දරුණු විදියට චීන ආයෝජන විවේචනය කරපු ගරු අනුකුමාර දිසානායක අතිගෞරව ජනාධිපතිතුමා අද ඒ කිවිසුම අත්සන් කළා තියෙනවා. මේ පරක් වෙලා ලංකාවේ විශාලතම ආයෝජනය ගෙනීම පිළිබඳව ගැන සතුටු වෙනවා.
මේ ව්‍යාපෘතිය හොඳ ව්‍යාපෘතිය. මේ ව්‍යාපෘතිය ඉදිරියට ගෙන යාම ඉතාම වටිනවා. මේ වෙනකොට පරිසර අනුමැතියන් සඳහා යොමු කරලා විදුලිය ජලය ලබා දීමේ කටයුතු ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙමින් පවතින තත්ත්වයක් තුළ දැන් උත් වෙන් කරලා එවැනි ව්‍යාපෘතියක් ජනාධිපතිතුමා චීන කිය නිසා ලැබුණා යයි නැවතත් ජනතාව මුලා කිරීමට උත්සාහ කිරීම අපේ අප්‍රසාදේ පළ කරනවා වගේම මේ ව්‍යාපෘති ඉදිරියට කරගෙන යාම සඳහා අපි විරෝධතාවයක් කිසිසේත් නැහැ. ඒ සඳහා අපේ සහාය තියෙනවා කියන කාරණේ අපි මතක් කරන්නට අවශ්‍යයි. මේකේ ගාණත් වැරදි. මේකේ තියෙන බිලියන 3.7යි. බිලියන 4.5යි. නිවැරදි ගාණ මම හිටපු ඇමතුමා නිසා මම දන්නවා.
අද මේ අස්සම් කරන අමාත්‍යතුමා එදා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේදී අහනවා මේව කම්පැනිද කියලා. මේ සමාගම් හත පෙන්නලා මේවට පුළුවන්ද ආයෝජන කරන්න. මේක කාංචන විජේසේකරගේ මාමණ්ඩිට දෙන තෑග්ගද කියලා ඇහුවා. අද ගිහිල්ලා අස්සම් කරලා කියනවා ලංකාවේ ඉතිහාසයේ ලොකුම ආයෝජනය අරගෙන ආවා.
අපි රටක් හැටියට කරවටක් එරිලා ඉන්න රටක්. ඉතින් අපිට මේ රටවල් ඉදිරියේ චණ්ඩි වගේ හැසිරෙන්න පුළුවන් කමක් නැහැ. ඊටාම හොඳ විදේශ ප්‍රතිපත්තියක්, විදේශ ගනුදෙනුවක් අපේ තියෙනවා. ඉන්දියාවත් එක්ක වගේම චීනෙත් එක්කත් අපි මේ විදිහට කටයුතු කරන්නේ. අපි හැම වෙලේම ආර්ථික ගනුදෙනු වලදී දෙපැත්තටම සමබර වෙන කිවිසුම් වලට අපි එළඹෙන්න පැකිලෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ ප්‍රතිපත්තිය යටතේ තමයි අපි ඉන්දියාවත් එක්ක ගනුදෙනු කරන්නේ. මේ මොහොත වෙනකොට ජනාධිපතිවරයා චීනයේ සංචාරයේ ඒ ප්‍රතිපත්තියමත් තමයි කටයුතු කරමින් ඉන්නේ.
පිරිපුන් ජීවිතයකට ඔබ සමගින් පෙරට Union Assurance.
Welcome to Cinnamon Life, South Asia's biggest entertainment hub, where awe awaits.
චන්දුරුසුමේ කාගෙත් මන අපේ සිග TV සඳහා සුපිරි ඩීල්.
Sadaharita Plantations Limited, celebrating 22 years of your trust.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
The Executive Committee of the Samagi Jana Balawege has given the green light to commence discussions for the SJB to reunite with the United National Party. Speaking to media, leader of the Samagi Jana Balawege, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa noted that the SJB is ready to work with all opposition parties, including the UNP. The Executive Committee of the Samagi Jana Balawege convened at the party headquarters under the patronage of SJB and opposition leader Sajith Premadasa.
ඇතුලේ මේ සාකච්ඡාවේදී ඔබතුමාලා සහ අලියා එක් වෙලා ඉදිරි මැතිවරණ වලට යනවා කියලා එහෙම එකක් වෙනවද?
ඒ සම්බන්ධව අපි සාකච්ඡා ආරම්භ කරන්න පක්ෂ තීන්දුව කරා. අපි රට වටේ යද්දී ජනතාව අපෙන් ඉල්ලීමක් කරා මේ පක්ෂ දෙක එක්කව වෙනවා නම් හොඳයි කියලා. අපේ කළමනාකරණ කමිටුවේ තීන්දුවක් ගත්ත සාකච්ඡා ආරම්භ කරන්න. ඒ වගේම අද කෘත්‍යාධිකාරී මණ්ඩලයකට අනුමැතිය ලැබුණා. ඉදිරියේදී අපි කෙටි දින කිහිපයකින් ඒ සාකච්ඡා ආරම්භ කරනවා.
ඒ කියන්නේ අලියා ලාංඡනය ඉස්සර කරගෙන යන්න හදන්නේ
නෑ. අපි එහෙම තාම කිසි තීන්දුවක් කරන්නේ නෑ.
සාකච්ඡා කරන්නත් ලේසියි නේද? ඔබතුමාලා ළඟ ඉඳලා ගියපු බලපාතු ගෝරල මැතිතුමේ තමයි දැන් එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ මහලේකම්. මේ කීකියා හිටියේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කියත් අපි මේ දෙගොල්ලෝ එකතු වෙන්න ඕනේ.
ඒ අවස්ථාව ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා දැන්.
දැන් මේ රනිල් මහත්තයත් එක්ක කොහොමද එකතු වෙනවද?
විරුද්ධ පක්ෂයේ දේශපාලන පක්ෂත් සමග අත්වල් බැඳගෙන වැඩ කටයුතු කරනවා. ඒ වගේම එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂත් සමගත් අපි සාකච්ඡා කරනවා.
The Public Utilities Commission today, while announcing the first electricity tariff revision for the year, said that tariffs would receive an overall reduction of 20% across all categories. Domestic electricity tariffs are to be reduced by 20%, while the hotel sector saw the largest reduction in tariffs, receiving a 31% reduction. The electricity tariff revision for the next 6 months will come into effect from midnight tonight. The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka announced the decision to reduce electricity tariffs by an overall average of 20%. The PUCSL said the final decision was reached after studying and reviewing the proposals and cost data submitted by the CEB in this tariff revision and the counter-proposal drafted by the PUCSL, and also taking into account the opinions shared by the public. Accordingly, electricity tariffs have been reduced by 20% for the domestic sector, 21% for religious and charitable institutions, 30% for the industrial sector, 11% for government institutions, and 12% for public services. The hotel sector saw the largest reduction in tariffs, receiving a 31% reduction. The Public Utilities Commission announced that the relevant tariff revision for the first 6 months of this year will be effective from midnight tonight. Under the domestic sector, the rates for the first 60 units will be revised under 2 phases. Accordingly, tariffs will be reduced by 29% for consumers who consume less than 30 units of electricity. The current fee of 6 rupees per unit will be reduced to 4 rupees. The fixed monthly fee of that category will also be reduced by 25 rupees from 100 to 75 rupees. Meanwhile, domestic consumers who consume between 31 and 60 units of electricity will receive a 28% tariff reduction. From 31 to 60 units, the fee of 9 rupees per unit has been reduced to 6 rupees. rupees. Its fixed monthly charge will come down by 50 rupees from 250 to 200 rupees. Domestic consumers who consume more than 60 units will be charged under a separate system consisting of 5 categories. Accordingly, the current consumption fee for the first 60 units, which stands at 15 rupees per unit, has been reduced to 11 rupees. The fixed monthly charge for that category will be 200 rupees. In the category of 61 to 90 units, the fee of 18 rupees per unit will be reduced to 14 rupees. The fee of 30 rupees charged per unit from 91 to 120 units has also been reduced to 20 rupees. The fee of 42 rupees per unit in the category of 121 to 180 units has been brought down to 33 rupees. The rates of 65 rupees per unit for above 181 units has been reduced to 52 rupees. There will be no change in the fixed monthly charges for the categories above 61 units. Following the electricity tariff revision, a household which consumes electricity up to 30 units per month will have the current electricity tariff of 280 rupees reduced to 195 rupees. For those consuming 60 units, the current electricity fee of 700 rupees per month will come down to 500 rupees per month. Similarly, a household with an average usage of 90 units will be charged a monthly bill of 1,480 rupees. Meanwhile, the electricity charges of a household with a monthly consumption of 120 units, which currently stands at 3,340 rupees, will come down to 2,680 rupees. For those with a consumption of up to 300 units, the existing monthly fee of 14,660 rupees will be reduced to 11,900 rupees. Electricity charges have also been reduced for religious and charitable institutions. For the first 30 units, the fee of 6 rupees per unit has been reduced to 4 rupees and 50 cents, and the fixed monthly fee, which was 100 rupees, has come down to 75 rupees. From 31 to 90 units, the price of a unit, which was 6 rupees, has been reduced to 4 rupees and 50 cents, and the 250 rupee fixed monthly charge has been reduced to 200 rupees. The price of a unit in the category of 91 to 120 units has been reduced to 6 rupees and 50 cents, and the fixed monthly fee remains 300 rupees. The price of a unit in the category of 121 to 180 units has been reduced to 15 rupees, and the monthly fee remains at 1,200 rupees. In case of 181 units or more, the price of a unit will be reduced from 30 to 23 rupees, and the monthly fee will remain at 1,600 rupees.
In the initial proposal of CEB dated 6 December, they have observed a kind of surplus of 2,334 billion surplus only, and also they haven't considered the revenue surpluses for the overlap time period of the previous year. So the Commission has analyzed the exact expenses for the given time period as well as the forecast submitted by the CEB. So there were kind of differences. So those were adjusted. Despite that, the Commission finalized its forecast by quoting a figure of 44 billion rupees. The final decision has been supported by the rationally by the data.
Issuing a special announcement regarding the electricity tariff revision recommended by the PUCSL today, the Ministry of Energy stated that once the new electricity tariff revision is officially received, it will be implemented by the Ceylon Electricity Board following the advice of the Ministry of Finance.
Fast track your career from O levels with eSoft.
ඩයිබටසෝල් සීනිවලින් පරිස්සම්වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය.
ප්‍රයිම් ගෲප් ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට හඳුන්වා දෙන ලෑන්ඩ් ලීසින් ලේසියෙන් මීටමක්.
Single 1111 up to 60% off from the 11th November to the 17th of November.
Kalani wire කිසිගින්නක් නෑ.
කිසිගින්නක් නෑ. Kalani Fire Shield Wire.
Former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa was summoned to the Criminal Investigation Department this morning to record a statement over an inquiry into an electricity connection for a property in the Kataragama area. The former president left the CID premises at 2 p.m. after recording a nearly 2-hour-long statement. The Criminal Investigation Department has previously obtained statements from former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's son Yoshita Rajapaksa and a former personal security officer of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa regarding the relevant land in Kataragama. The Ministry of Defence has agreed to renovate and provide security for the warehouses of the Paddy Marketing Board as part of government's Clean Sri Lanka initiative. Meanwhile, Parliament is scheduled to debate the Clean Sri Lanka initiative when it convenes again next week.
Following the advice of President Anura Dissanayake, the Ministry of Defence has agreed to renovate and provide security to the warehouse belonging to the Paddy Marketing Board as part of the Clean Sri Lanka initiative. A coordination meeting regarding the initiative was held yesterday at the Hector Kobak Kaduwa Agrarian Research and Training Institute.
අපේ දැන් තියෙනවා සමහර ගබඩා වටා පිටාව සුද්ධ බුද්ධ කරලා අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් ගබඩා ටික. ඒ සඳහා අවශ්‍ය සහාය ආරක්ෂා මුදා වලින් ගන්න අද තීන්දුවක් කරා. දැන් ඉදන්ම ක්‍රියාත්මක වුණා.
Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Agriculture Namal Karunaratne engaged in a tour of inspection at the Satasa Rice Warehouse in Lunugamwehera, Hambantara today.
මේ හාල් මාපියාව ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන මාස 3ක් තියෙනවා. ඒ තමයි නොවැම්බර්, දෙසැම්බර්, ජනවාරි. අන්නේ කාල පරාසය තුල රජයේ ගබඩාවල වී ටික හාල් බවට පත් වෙලා මේ හාල් ප්‍රශ්නේ තව සති දෙකක් යනකොට තුරම් වෙනවයි කියන කාරණෙත් මේ වෙලාවේ මතක් කරනවා.
Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Land and Irrigation Dr. Susil Rana Singha inspected an abandoned building in Tabutegama which contains a 1,000 square foot refrigerator capable of storing produce.
මේක 2004 අවුරුදු තමයි හදලා තියෙන්නේ. කිසිම කෙනෙක් මේකේ ප්‍රයෝජනයක් ගන්න නැහැ. අවුරුදු ගානකින් මේ මැෂින් ඔන් කරලා නැහැ. නම් මේක තමයි අපේ රටේ කරපු සංවර්ධනය.
Meanwhile, under the Clean Sri Lanka initiative, a clean-up campaign was carried out today at the Navalapitiya bus stand with the participation of officials of the Navalapitiya Municipal Council and the local business community. Meanwhile, a section of the Colombo Kandy main road from Pirimatalawa to Peradeniya was also cleaned today with the participation of officials of the Yatinuwara Divisional Secretariat, Kadugannawa Police, the Road Development Authority and Kadugannawa Municipal Council. Meanwhile, the Secretary General of Parliament, Kushani Rohanadira, announced that Parliament will hold a 2-day adjournment debate on government's Clean Sri Lanka initiative when it next convenes from the 21st to 24th of January.
Meanwhile, 3 Parliament employees who were found guilty of sexually harassing female staff have been dismissed from service. Issuing a statement pertaining to the matter, the Parliamentary Communications Department noted that the 3 employees were found guilty following a thorough investigation. Thereby, Speaker Dr. Jagat Wickramaratne approved the dismissal of the 3 employees as per recommendations of the Secretary General of Parliament, Kushani Rohanadira. Welcome back. Now in further local updates, former Sri Lankan ambassador to Russia Udayanga Weeratunga and Thisara Nanayakkara, the brother of former Minister of Foreign Employment Manusha Nanayakkara, were granted bail today. The relevant orders were issued when the 2 arrestees were presented before the Nugegoda and Gampaha magistrates respectively. Former Sri Lankan ambassador to Russia Udayanga Weeratunga was granted bail today after being produced before the Nugegoda Magistrates Court. The Nugegoda magistrate ordered Weeratunga to be released on 2 surety bails and a cash bail of 10,000 rupees. The former diplomat was arrested by the Mirihana police on the 10th of January for allegedly assaulting his neighbour. Meanwhile, Thisara Nanayakkara, the brother of former Minister of Foreign Employment Manusha Nanayakkara, was granted bail today after being produced before the Gampaha Magistrates Court. He was ordered to be released on 4 surety bails of 10 million rupees each. The ex-minister's brother Thisara Iroshana Nanayakkara was arrested by the Criminal Investigation Department on the 28th of December 2024 in connection with a complaint related to alleged financial fraud. Meanwhile, a tragic accident involving a bus carrying 12 Russian tourists and a truck on the Southern Expressway this morning left 1 Sri Lankan national dead and 14 others injured. Meanwhile, 2 16-year-old boys succumbed to their injuries after the motorcycle which they were travelling on collided head-on with a bus in Notchiagama. With that, here's more information on these incidents. A bus carrying Russian tourists collided with a truck which was transporting cement on the Southern Expressway at around 5:25 am this morning. The bus, which was travelling from Kalutara to Mattala, had been carrying 15 persons, including 12 Russian tourists, the driver of the bus, the conductor as well as a tour guide. The injured were taken to the divisional hospital in Beliatta. The 29-year-old driver of the bus had succumbed to his injuries at the time of admission to hospital. The conductor sustained severe injuries to a foot and is currently receiving treatment in the intensive care unit. The 12 Russian tourists and the tour guide who sustained injuries were thereafter transferred to the Tangol base hospital. Police revealed that the driver falling asleep behind the wheel is suspected to have caused the accident. In a separate update, two 16-year-old schoolboys lost their lives following an accident in Galenbidunuwa, Notchiagama. The two teenagers had been travelling on a motorcycle which collided head-on with a bus. The injured were taken to the divisional hospital Notchiagama but were later pronounced dead. The Galenbidunuwa police have launched an investigation into the incident. In your weather up-to-date, the Department of Meteorology forecasts that the eastern, northern, north-central and central provinces will experience increased rainfall from tomorrow onwards as the turbulence over the Bay of Bengal moves closer to Sri Lanka. The department further warned maritime communities to remain alert in view of rough seas from Mannar to Batticaloa.
Due to the active northeastern monsoon, continuous rainfall has been observed in the northern, north-central and eastern provinces. As a result of the persistent rainfall, sluice gates of several reservoirs have been opened. Paddy fields in Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa have been inundated as a result of the spillover from nearby reservoirs. Meanwhile, the entry road to the Somawati temple and the road near the Aukana temple in Kakirawa have also been completely inundated by overflowing reservoirs. The Department of Meteorology forecasts an increase in rainfall from tomorrow onwards.
We expect the rains to intensify as the turbulence over the Bay of Bengal moves closer to the island. Therefore, the eastern, northern, north-central and central provinces will experience increased rainfall on the 18th, 19th and 20th of January. From Mannar to Batticaloa via Kankasanture, sea waves in both deep and shallow waters may increase. As a result, the fishing and maritime communities should remain alert and exercise caution in their activities. However, it is strongly advised that they avoid engaging in these activities during this period. In business news, Chairman of the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, Buddhika Hewawasam, says Sri Lanka averaged 10,000 tourist arrivals a day during the first week of 2025, a trend which, if it continues, will allow the nation to achieve the goal of attracting 3 million visitors within the year. Hewawasam added that the Tourism Development Authority expects to contribute to this effort by establishing more tourist zones throughout the country and by adopting a new nation branding strategy. Within the first 6 days of this year, 79,000 tourists arrived in Sri Lanka, which represents approximately 10,000 arrivals a day. If this trend continues, we will be able to achieve the target of attracting 3 million tourists within the year. In order to increase the revenue generated through the sector, we aim to establish a value-added tourism industry, providing visitors opportunities to spend more. Additionally, we aim to further develop Colombo as a tourist hub by developing night tourism, which involves enhancing night markets and entertainment facilities. In addition, hotels and conference facilities in the city will also be developed. We are currently in the process of gazetting 26 new tourist zones and we plan to establish 13 more zones within the year. By doing so, we plan to alleviate the congestion at established tourist destinations by directing tourists to lesser-known destinations that have the potential to become tourist hotspots. We have identified several locations in the northern, eastern and north-central provinces that can be developed as either wildlife or heritage tourism destinations. Furthermore, we plan to develop other tourist markets in addition to the traditional markets India, Russia, Great Britain, Germany, France and China. These include the Middle East, Australia and the surrounding region and the Asia-Pacific region. By developing these markets, we will be able to move towards a year-round tourism industry rather than a seasonal one. In addition to the development of tourist zones and infrastructure, you will be able to witness a new marketing campaign. From next month, we will adopt a new nation branding strategy through which we aim to achieve our national branding goals in collaboration with other established Sri Lankan brands. Meanwhile, the Tourism Development Authority revealed that Sri Lanka has recorded over 110,000 tourist arrivals within the first 14 days of the year. A total of 112,415 tourist arrivals were recorded from the 1st to the 14th of January, which includes 5,060 Russian nationals and 3,333 Indians. The majority of the tourists were from Russia and India, but visitors from the UK, Germany, the US, Australia, China and France were also among the arrivals. During the first week of January, Sri Lanka recorded 54,853 arrivals, while the second week saw 57,562. Sri Lanka ended 2024 with 2.05 million tourist arrivals, marking the highest number of arrivals since 2018. The country aims to attract 3 million tourists by the end of 2025. The Colombo Bourse experienced a day of positive sentiment and increased momentum, contrasting with the volatile sentiment experienced during the day. During today's trading session, most of the investor attention was focused on banking sector and blue chip stocks. Additionally, some selected construction sector stocks attracted buying interest. Amid the increased participation from retail and high net worth investors, the ASPI closed in green at 16,257, gaining 41 points. The most significant contributors to the positive index were Dialog, DFCC, Dipped Products, Hemas Holdings and Commercial Bank. Meanwhile, turnover stood at 5.4 billion, marking a 25.1% increase from the monthly average, with banking sector stocks leading turnover at 30%, followed by capital goods and materials jointly contributing 33% of overall turnover. There was a net foreign outflow of 201.5 million rupees. And with that, here's a look at the rupee exchange rates for the day. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining and have a good night.